What is up, guys? For this video, we're going to be installing the Megasquirt on the Dakota. I showed you guys in the last video that I had the last couple of parts needed. It is time to go ahead and install Megasquirt on the truck. Here's everything that I've got. So you've already seen this. This is, like I said, the Mallory Hi-Fire. This is a very old style one, at least 90s era stuff. It's analog, very bare bones, but it was cheap and it'll work, and that's all I needed. Pigtails for the fuel injectors, the distributor, which I've put my brand new cap, rotor, and pickup coil in, and then I cleaned it up the best I could. And then here's the little pigtail harness that plugs into it. I cleaned the inside of that out as well because crank position readings are important. In here are my injectors. I just stuck them in a brake pad box. Got some self-tappers to mount stuff, butt connectors, relays, fuse boxes, more butt connectors and stuff in there. Megasquirt, the wire to actually plug the Megasquirt into a computer, the harness. One of the first things that I need to do is remove the FMU and then move this vacuum port up a little bit higher, which will make me have to move this, and that's because the ignition coil needs to go underneath of here because it's about the only spot it'll fit, and then the big ignition box will go right here. I'm looking forward to it. I do have sort of a foolproof plan. If anything does go wrong, I can switch back to the original distributor and ECU and run it for a while until I figure out whatever's wrong with it. I've been doing a lot of research on this, figuring out what I could do. Got a lot of help from the guys at DIY Auto Tune. They were the ones who told me that I could use the Hall Effect distributor and stuff. So I guess we're just gonna get right into it. I'm gonna start by removing the FMU and just chucking that away because the thing's garbage, and rehooking the fuel return line back up. That was a lot more difficult than it should have been, but now that's out of the way, and I can get the FMU As you guys just saw, I removed the FMU and put it right where it belongs, and got the vacuum port set back up. Kind of pushed the brake booster line up here a little bit, and that's freed up a ton of space up here, which hopefully gives me enough room for the ignition coil. Yep, that'll be pretty much perfect right there. That's a good spot for it. I'm going to get the ignition coil mounted, and I'll get the ignition box mounted as well. I also tested this relay to see if it stays on when the key is in the starting position or not, and it does stay on, so I can use this guy right here to power the Megasquirt and the ignition and stuff, and everything will work. You might remember I had that issue in the Eclipse where I wired everything to power supply that was disabled when the engine is turning over by the starter. So I made sure this time that I had it hooked up right. Probably replaced the distributor right now since the ignition coil and stuff is out of the way and everything is free. The distributor is in. I got it pretty much set. I have a timing light that I borrowed from a friend of mine. He's got a YouTube channel of his own, actually. I'll put the link to it in the description. The channel name is Troy Brink. You'll be able to find it down below, but he let me borrow his timing light, so once the truck is running, I will have to hand turn the distributor to get the idle set. That's in, so now I can get the box and the coil mounted, and then after that probably start working on mounting relays and fuse box and the Megasquirt in the cab. That was way more difficult than it should have been. I had to completely remove the throttle body and was still just barely able to get the drill in there to get the other self-tapper in. But now that's done, so I'm going to put all that back together. Mallory is going in. It is getting riv nuts because it's got these rubber things on the bottom of it, and I have riv nuts with the same thread, so I'm going to put riv nuts in the firewall in the right spot, of course. Use those rubber bushings and everything and mount the Mallory the proper way. the ignition box mounted, and inside of the truck I got the Megasquirt and the little fuse box mounted it in the back for now, not wired up of course or anything. And I've been tearing the dash apart, trying to clean up a bunch of wiring that was kind of messed up back here. So I'm rewiring the cigarette lighter, phone charger deal, and I'm cleaning up the wires that ran to the gauges. Basically everything inside needs put back together, and I need to run power back to that fuse box, run power to the gauges. But it's really late, I'm really tired, I can barely function right now, so I'm gonna pack it up for tonight and get back at it tomorrow. So hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to keep working on this, get the last little bit of it done. So I will be back at it tomorrow, and we'll be able to hopefully get the truck running on the Megasquirt. I am back, and I've actually been working on this thing for a few hours, just trying to get everything on the inside of the truck done so that all I have to do is work on the engine bay. And it's been taking a very long time because running wires, cleaning up wires, doing everything the right way takes a lot of time. Back here I got the Megasquirt with the harness wired in, got power and grounds for the Megasquirt hooked up. That other black wire, the thicker black one, which is hooked up to a 10 amp fuse, is the power supply for both of my gauges up here now. So both of these run off of that, and the AEM is wired up to the Megasquirt. One thing I did forget to do for the inside was run the vacuum line to the Megasquirt, so I'm gonna go and do that real quick and then just clean up the inside of the truck. I just went and got all my tools and stuff out of it. There's still stripped wires and stuff all over the floor. Okay then. Anyway, I'm going to clean up the inside, run that vacuum line to the Megasquirt, and then I can start doing stuff in here. Here's the harness, comes up through that hole right there, and it is protected by conduit, so it's not going to get all roughed up. I'm going to get that vacuum line ran, and then we will start wiring stuff up in here. I think before I go and actually start to wire stuff, I'm going to get the injector harness pieced together off of the truck, since I've got all those sitting up there. Tested the ECU, since it has power, it does turn on just like it's supposed to, so that's good. I have the injectors wired up. Here's one harness. I don't have anything tied up or cleaned up because I don't want to tie and put stuff away until I know that the thing runs. Both injector harnesses are done. There's power running to them. They're wired to the ECU. I also got the ignition done. Next step is to get all the other sensors wired, basically. So coolant temp, air temp, throttle position sensor, and I may actually have to look at the paper I've got and see if there's anything left. Here we go. This is the paper that Megasquirt sends you just when you buy a generic wiring harness or whatever for Megasquirt 2. So I've got the Hall sensor done, throttle position is not done, coolant and air temp are not done, oxygen sensor is done but it doesn't seem to be working right, and then injectors are done, ignition is set up. Fuel pump, I haven't actually listened to it to see if it is coming on while the engine is turning over or not, so I may have to look into that because that would explain why it wouldn't fire up, because there might not be any fuel running to it. I'm going to figure everything else out, get everything else wired up, and hopefully it'll run. Alright, so have you guys ever done something that was just so dumb that you just had to sort of sit back and think about how dumb that was for a minute? A truck won't start, and, well, of course it won't start because there's no spark plug wires on it. That's okay, I'm going to go hook those up, turn it over, see if I can get any sort of fart or pop or anything out of it. Spark plug wires are on, and some of them fit very, very tight and are nearly maxed out. This thing is reading RPM and throttle and stuff. It's not on, obviously, so we'll go ahead and turn it on. There we go. It should still run now that spark plug wires are hooked up. I'm assuming there is no fuel getting to it. That's about all I can think of at this point. See if it's not getting fuel, not getting spark, or both, and hopefully it'll run pretty soon. Okay, I messed around with it for probably the last 2 or 3 hours, spent way too much time on it, and it still doesn't run. I don't think it's getting fuel or spark, but it has an RPM signal, so I'm not sure what's wrong with it. I should at least putter and fart or do something, but it won't do that at all. I'm going to do some messing around. I don't know if that box doesn't work or if the injectors aren't firing for some reason. There's too many variables. I'm not sure what's wrong with it. I'll see you guys whenever I decide to get back to this. I was not able to get the truck running, as you guys are aware. It's actually not here. So my backup plan that I had, which was to just plug the factory ECU back in if the Megasquirt doesn't work, did work. I swapped the distributor back out, plugged everything back in. Going to edit all this, cut it up as much as I can, shorten it up as much as possible, and then resume next weekend, bring the truck back out here and see if I can get to the bottom of the starting and not running issue, and hopefully we'll have potentially one of the first Megasquirted 3.9 liter Dakotas ever. Alright guys, I cannot begin to explain how excited I am right now. I haven't been filming. It's been 2 weeks since the last video I made. I didn't get the truck to run on the Megasquirt 2 weeks ago, as you guys know, so I just threw the old stuff back together, drove it back to my grandparents' house, stored it. Didn't work on it last weekend because it was hot as balls, so I actually brought it here and then was like, there's no way I'm gonna do this, so I took it back and just drove it back and left it. And then today brought it, fought with this thing for probably 6 hours, and just maybe 10-15 minutes ago got it to start and idle for the first time running solely on the Megasquirt. There's one issue right now, and that's that it idles to the freaking sky. I don't know why. I do think that the idle air control from the Eclipse, the mechanical one I had, will work on this thing. So I'm going to go to storage unit, pull that off of the 420A, slap that thing on here, and then I'll be able to let you guys see it start and run. I'll adjust the idle and do all that stuff. This engine idles super smooth, so it shouldn't be an issue having the mechanical one. If it works really well, I'll just leave it that way and won't hook up the IAC to the Megasquirt, but it runs, guys. The reason it wasn't working the other day was that I had the wrong firing order completely hooked up. Like, it was just totally wrong. I had everything set up like the Fords count their cylinders differently from Dodge, and I had to set up like Fords do it because that's the only thing I've ever really like rewired the ignition on was a Ford Mustang. So I had it totally screwed up, put it all together today, and had everything flipped 180 degrees around on the distributor, so it was firing as it was on its exhaust stroke, and that means it was backfiring loud as shit. Did it twice. I thought my ears were gonna bleed. It was so loud my neighbor came out and thought that like somebody was firing a gun off over here. Very loud. Did it to me twice. First time it scared the crap out of me. Second time, like it made my butthole pucker. The first time it was bad. Second time I was kind of expecting it to happen. And then I finally reran all of the plug wires the right way, because at that point I knew that there was fuel getting into it and I had spark because it was going kaboom, of course, like straight out the tailpipe. Unfortunately, it didn't blow the guts out of the thrush muffler because it still smells like shit when it's running. I flipped everything around, you know, moved everything over, and it would do the same thing the Eclipse did when I had the ignition coils wired backwards, where it would like fire and it would just stop, the engine would stop turning over, and everything would, like, all the lights and stuff would flicker and get angry. What I ended up doing was moving the spark plug wires one cylinder over, like in a circle, one cylinder over from where they were, went in there, turned the key, and it fired up, first crank, no problem. It's running super lean, probably because it's getting 0% throttle, but it's revving to 1500 RPM. I think that's why it's running super lean, and if you give it gas, it just leans all to hell and doesn't know what's going on. So I'm gonna go get the idle control thing, put that on here, and oh, it's got the eBay injectors, by the way. eBay injectors are in, they all work. This video is gonna end up being really long, but hopefully it's worth it, because I think this is the world's first Megasquirt 3.9. As far as I know, this is the first one ever. Nobody's ever Megasquirted a 3.9. I'm the first one to ever do it. If anybody has, or anybody knows of somebody who has, let me know, because I would like to talk to those people. The thing runs. You guys will see in a little bit. I'm going to quit talking right now, go get the valve, and I will start it up and let you guys see it running. Alright, IAC valve has been deleted. I have the IAC delete from the clips right there, so it's the exact same valve and everything bolts directly up, or at least the same size. The only thing that might be different, if I can find it, the only thing that might be different is the offset of the plug, but I think even that is the same. I have an extra IAC valve from the Eclipse laying around somewhere, so I can actually check on that. The old Eclipse donating valuable parts to the truck, and got the laptop in here. Let's turn the Megasquirt on. Boom. And we are connected. I don't know how well you guys can actually see that screen. And then let's let the O2 sensor heat up. Wow, there we go. Oh, and it died. I think we're out of gas, actually. Not out of gas, but I don't think the fuel pump was on, which is going to be an issue. However, I do already know how to fix that. Wire this guy right here, stuff, pulled out the relay for the fuel pump, bam, two middle slots where the relay is supposed to go. You just shove the wire in there and there's you go. Okay, now let's see if it'll start and run again. We are running again. Not very well, but we are running again. Am I reading RPM? No, it's not at all. Interesting. It's running rough AF at the moment. And we're off. I'm going to adjust the idle valve, play around with the position of the distributor, get it to idle. It's idling really rough right now. It was idling really good earlier, but it was revving to like 1500 RPM. I'll get it to idle good, play around with some things, and then once I've got it idling good enough, I can let it auto-tune itself. It's idling pretty well right now. And keep in mind there's no coolant temp sensor and there's no air temp sensor hooked up. It's just assuming that it's at whatever temperature right now. It has no clue. I haven't hooked them up yet because I wanted to get the thing to run. She's getting angry right now, actually. Idling very low. It seems to get stuck in this really low idle mode and then doesn't know what to do. That was weird. I'm gonna, I don't know, try to get it to start idling right again. And then I'll hook the coolant and air temp sensors up. Let it actually tune itself. We'll be all set. Okay, I may have found out why it was idling funny and doing weird stuff. The alternator's not charging, which doesn't make any sense, really, because the ECU is still attached to the alternator, but it's not charging. It was running at about 7 volts. I noticed my lights inside were getting dim, and I was like, huh, that's really weird. I do have the other alternator regulator from the Eclipse that I can hook up and use. I have more Eclipse parts that may help me out here, but that really shouldn't be an issue though. So I'm going to see if I can figure out why it's not charging. The stock ECU is going away regardless, or maybe the regulator just decided to quit working all right now. This is like the worst possible time it could have quit working. But yeah, I'm still happy with it. It was idling with 8 volts, which throws everything out of whack, which is doing pretty good. I'm going to solve the alternator issue, let you guys know how I do that, and then I think we'll be able to take it for its first drive. Alright guys, this is where I'm going to end it for tonight. The alternator is not charging. I think the regulator's bad, or just for some reason it's not getting power anymore. It's late, I'm tired, I did what I wanted to do, which is get the truck running. Tomorrow I'm going to get to it and I'm going to clean up all the wiring, finish wiring the last couple sensors for the Megasquirt. This is going to be the end of this video. I'm all over the place. This whole thing has been all over the place because nothing went the way I wanted it to, but in the end it all worked out, which is pretty good. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Be watching for part 2, which is going to be cleaning up all the wiring, finishing everything off, and then getting this thing on the road and going for the first official drive. The Megasquirt on the Dakota. Like I said, I think this is the first time this has ever been done to one of these. It's definitely the first one there where it's been documented and there's actually been proof put up of it. I want to thank you guys very much for watching this video. Please hit that like button and subscribe for more of this heap behind me, and I will see you all later.